massive weekend of Rugby World Cup action. And Austin, let's have a look at England's quarter-final matchup. They play up against Australia. And my question to you is, where is this England team at? Because when you look at them and the way in which they progressed through the pool stages, of course they've been brilliant. They've got maximum points apart from the draw right at the end, but they beat Tonga. They then went on to beat USA, who were down to 14 men, beat Argentina down to 14 men. Do we really know quite how good this England team is?
I don't think we do, and I think the problem is you're either undercooked or you're fully prepared, and you won't actually know until the first 20 minutes. But I think when we've seen England in the first round of the Six Nations, they normally get off to a good start. So let's hope they put in a performance that we saw against Ireland. And let's hope that they have that physicality. I think the big question mark is still Billy Vunipola. Does Billy play or not? I mean, Goode might know a bit more than us, since he's been on the phone to him. But
even if he does, he's not going to answer.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen him on the training field, but I've also seen him just sleeping the whole time. So I mean, I don't really know, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure he'll be available though.
I mean, the big favourites, aren't they, going in against Australia? Can you see this Australian side? I don't think it's a particularly great Australian backline. I'd much rather see Genia playing 9 than Nick, but I think if Genia starts, I think we definitely go on to win. If Nick starts, I think I'm a little bit more concerned.
Before we go on to talk about Australia, I just want to ask you, Dylan, actually, in terms of, Austin's touched upon it there, that, you know, they might be undercooked. Or, for as a player, would you have preferred to play against France rather than have the 2 weeks break?
I think it depends what camp you're in. So if I'm in the England camp, I say Australia have played an extra game, they'll be fatigued, they'll be carrying a few bumps and bruises. I'd say we've had extra time to prepare and focus on this game. We're physically feeling great. But if I was in the Australian camp, I'd say, look, we're battle hardened. We haven't been down at the coast, you know, training and a bit of surfing. And I just know that the way England prepare, this 2 weeks that they've had building to this game, they would have uncovered everything. They would have covered everything, you know, the analysis on the ref. You're talking Hooper, Pocock, whatever 9 plays, they'll have all scenarios covered. So take confidence as an England fan that they'll be well prepped. And ultimately, if they're well prepped, it frees them up to go into the game and play the occasion, just enjoy the occasion and put our best performance on the field.
Well, Australia had different preparation going into it, and they've been really bullish and sounding very confident from their soundbox. But when you look at their backline, where are the key threats for them?
But I think first and foremost, they would rather have an open game. England would like a nice structured game, control the territory, try and basically just grind out a good victory and get on top with the pack. But with Australia, obviously, can be very dangerous. I think Kerevi's their main threat in the back line, you know, especially with, obviously, Ford and Faz there, 10-12, will they try and really pepper George in terms of the gain line, and he is a strong ball carrier. He's shown in the last sort of 6 months as well his ability to ball play as well, so he's extremely dangerous. And then I think Korobetti's really getting into the game now, and he's understanding how to get into the game, how to get his hands on the ball, how to maximise his unbelievable gifts in terms of his running ability. And the more those two get involved and touch the ball, especially in broken play, the more dangerous Australia will be and get them on the front foot. But I think England will be very prepared for them. As Dylan said, they'll know exactly, you know, what foot Korobetti wants to step off for the whole time, you know, how Kerevi wants to go into contact, everything like that, and they'll have Underhill and Curry there every single moment.
Well, if they're the key contributors for Australia, who's going to have a massive influence from the England backline this weekend?
I think Ben Youngs probably. He plays, when England are playing well, Ben Youngs is moving forward onto the ball from the fringes rather than being static under the base and distributing. If he comes around the corner and he can attack the guard and the bodyguard and he's in motion and he's got options either side of him, that's when England look really strong. When they can control the first, second and third defender at ruck time, when they go second ruck and start to move through in that really powerful ruck movement, so they get to the second and third ruck really quickly. The defensive alignment can't get in position. But the big question for them is obviously Pocock and Hooper. You know, those two, if they have an amazing game and they get 4 or maybe 5 turnovers between them, then it becomes very difficult for England to play their high-tempo, high-ruck game. And that's my major concern. And also Nick White. If Nick is playing 9, I don't think there's been a better scrum half for Australia since Gregan. I think his ability to up the tempo, his precision with his passing game and his kicking game is second to none. And he would be one player that, if he is on the field, I know we don't know what the back line is yet, he'd be someone I'd be trying to get injured within the first 10 minutes.
Dylan up front.
I was going to say, we're talking about the backs here. But
I know, I'm coming to you now.
we know the rule, right? We do know the rule. That the forwards do win the game.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you now, Australia, England, we talk about psychological warfare or psychological dominance. I'm telling you now, Australia do not want to scrum. They do not want England to turn up and scrum and maul and have that dominant set piece that English rugby's kind of built around. So you can talk backs, you can talk fancy moves and that, but unless, you know, we go out and get that kind of dominance up front, the game can be pretty open. But if we control that kind of structured element of the game, we've got the ability to play the unstructured stuff. But I don't know if Australia can do both like we can.
It's like having Ben back, isn't it? Forwards are great. Forwards are brilliant.